Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 3rd of February and I welcome you all at the Thinking Palette, the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, in the today's video, we are going to discuss the entire analysis of the Hindu newspaper along with the background as well as the way forward in the articles. And before moving, I would like to tell you that if you are new here, you can download the explainer notes of this session from our Telegram channel. Link for Telegram channel is given in description box in YouTube. Fine. Moreover, if you want, you can directly visit the Telegram and you can search the channel by typing Thinking Palette by Sahil and you will get the channel. Now, moving on, first of all, guys, I would like to show you overview of the newspaper so that you can understand that actually which articles are important in the today's newspaper and what is the placement of these articles. So let's see the overview first. So guys, the first article here, Adani crash stalls parliament, opposition seeks JPC probe. So we have seen few days back, guys, what was this Hindenburg report? We have seen that what is the short seller, fine, what is short selling and all those kind of a things. But now every day this article or something like that will come in newspaper where they'll say that Adani lost their market capitalization by 50%, 40%, 60%. You are not required to follow this every day. Now here we have seen this particular thing that Adani group has lost approximately $107 billion of their market capitalization in last 1 week or so. And in Adani Group, LIC has invested, SBI, State Bank of India has invested. So LIC and State Bank of India will also be getting impacted. So for this thing, it has been provided that the probe should be carried with respect to the Adani Group, that whether they were involved in the stock market manipulation, accounting manipulation as alleged by the Hindenburg report. Now, for example, no need to go too much in the detail in this particular article. Then Adani crisis will play out in market, says senior official. Fine, no need to go. Then here guys, we see this particular thing, no bar on contesting 2 seats in one poll. We'll see this particular article. Then advertisements, etc. have been given. Wait for interest credit for 21, 22 prolonged for lakhs of EPF subscribers. Okay. So they are not receiving their interest credit. Now again guys, no need to go too much in that. Then coming to the city section, so the regional political issues, fine, regional political issues, tenders and all these things have been given, not important for your examination. Okay, so guys, understand this thing, academic aspects, even when we talk about the polity, okay, the political issues which pertain to the constitution, etc. are important, fine. Otherwise these articles are not important. Moving on, then so therefore these tenders, etc. have been given when home is along a track. So here we see this particular thing. Guys, if you remember few days back, we have seen this thing that the people living in Haldwani in Uttarakhand along the railway tracks, it was asked that they should be evicted. So now this article is talking about that the condition of people living there, etc. Academic substance is not there in this article. Then we have this Metro Plus page. And guys, moving on in this particular direction, after that guys, here study Masuri's specific carrying capacity, government told. So guys, one of our newspaper has reported this thing that as Joshimath town is sinking, cracks have development in Joshimath. So similar kind of cracks have also been observed in the Masuri. So National Green Tribunal now had said this thing that no new construction should be carried here, and the town will be studied that whether it is also facing the similar kind of a problem. Okay, so now it will be just studied. Then further moving on, again these tenders, etc. fine have been given. Now moving on guys, in this particular direction, Aero India 2023 LCA Tejas will be the star attraction. So when we talk about the LCA Tejas, it stands for the light combat aircraft. Okay, so it is a single engine, lightweight, uh, agile multi-role supersonic fighter which will be showcased at Aero India 2023. Now moving on guys, after that, coming to editorial page, the right reading of post cleavage political parties. Now the article is talking about the rise of the Aam Aadmi Party and then the divides between Aam Aadmi Party, BJP Party and other regional political parties are also being discussed here. Now the article doesn't contains much of a substance, political article, and we know that such kind of things are not much relevant for our examination, so no need to go here. Now this article is short for science, so this article will see, this article is talking about the funding that has been made available for research and development in the budget that got presented on 1st of the February. We'll see this particular article. Then further moving on, the below article, trading more within Asia makes economic sense. So we'll see this particular article also guys. Then after that, moving on here, should the government put out a white paper on Ladakh? We'll see this particular article as what it is talking about. Okay, and then guys, here there is one more article on the Ladakh. Now, if you remember guys, many times we have discussed this thing that in Ladakh, there is one issue also going on with respect to the people of Ladakh asking that they should be given the special status. They should be included into the 6th schedule. Okay, then moving on. After that, no, this is a notebook article. Okay, so here the journalist gives some of their own personal, they talk about some of their personal life lessons and all such kind of things. Then further moving on, coming to the text and context, putting budget 2023 into perspective. Okay, so guys, here what they have done, they are just giving the budget numbers. Okay, total expenditure, capital expenditure, food subsidy. So different years are being compared. Now, guys, on the budget, yesterday I have taken a detailed video where I have discussed the entire static as well as the present budget that has been brought. So please watch that particular video. All your static of polity economy will be covered and the present budget will also be covered. After that, going and reading the budget and any such kind of an article is not advised after seeing that video. So if you have seen that, well and good, no need to go here. Anyhow, this article is talking about much of the data. So therefore, for examination, much importance is not there. Now, moving on, coming to the next page of text and context with Pathan, Shahrukh Khan comes out on top of the Rakt Beej of the hate. No, not very important article. Fine. Article is talking about the movie and all such things. Then further moving on, no surprises in BJP list of candidate. So political articles have been given. Government can seek rethink of Collegium recommendation. We'll see this particular article. Then guys, further moving on, no decision to bring in UCC as of now. So here we see that the law minister had said that there is no, right now, there is nothing in plan that Uniform Civil Code will be implemented. What is Uniform Civil Code or UCC? Uniform Civil Code means that there needs to be the same civil laws for the different religious communities in India. So basically, we have two type of law systems. One is the criminal law system, which majorly deals with the criminal offenses such as rape, murder, dacoity, robbery, etc. On another hand, there are the civil law system. So when we talk about the criminal law system, it is universal for all the communities. If a crime has been done, same punishment will be there if you belong to X religion, if you belong to Y religion. But when we talk about the civil laws, within the civil laws, the personal matters, civil personal matters, such as divorce, adoption, inheritance, marriage. For all these particular four matters, again I'll repeat, divorce, adoption, inheritance and marriage. Different religious communities have the freedom that they can have their own procedures, for example, marriage and all such things. So it has been written in the Article 44 of the Indian Constitution, DPSP, that whenever possible, we need to universalize these civil personal matters also. A uniform civil code should be brought. So often over the past few months, we have seen that many such demands have been made. Governments such as Uttarakhand, they have constituted a commission also to study that whether UCC can be brought. Now here, the law minister had cleared that right now there is no plan of bringing that UCC. Okay, then further moving on, cut in MGNREGA outlay. We'll see this article. Then again, Sayukt Kisan Morcha right activist fine are protesting. Article not important for the examination. Setback to a project, not reflection on India's policy for neighborhood. So guys, basically what has happened, Adani Group had signed a power purchase agreement with Bangladesh, and Bangladesh has recently asked Adani Group that we will renegotiating that power purchase agreement. Okay, so Bangladesh was purchasing power from Adani Group. So basically in this context, fine, the spokesperson of Ministry of External Affairs had said that India follows the policy of a neighborhood. Okay, it is not a setback. Fine. Are you required to go and follow this article, make notes of this article? No. Then these tenders etc have been given. Okay, after that guys, moving on here, sites database reveals red senders smuggling. We'll see this article as what it is talking about. Then after that, moving in this particular direction, UAP is a political tool. Fine. Coming to the world page, US military to get greater access to Philippines base. Putin predicts victory over new Nazism in Ukraine. Okay, now basically guys, as we talk about the international page, I have told you many number of times that whenever we talk about the international page, those articles are important which will have some direct implication on Indian interest. Fine. Now here we see this, US military will get more access to the Philippines. Now as we talk about USA's agreement, USA's cooperation with Philippines is increasing. Why? Because Philippines has the conflict with the China in the South China Sea. So basically today China and USA are seeing the great rivalry. So therefore guys, in order to corner China, USA is building a deeper relation with the Philippines. So this is a part of the USA's policy to contain China. Now further moving on guys, after that Ilan Omar stripped of foreign affairs seat. Okay, then Reserve Bank of India said to seek details of the bank loans to Adani Group. So Reserve Bank of India, SEBI, now they are studying that whether there was some kind of irregularities in the way the Adanis have carried their operation or not. Okay, fine. Then rejigged credit guarantee plan for MSME. So yesterday budget already we have seen this thing that basically micro, small and medium enterprises, they will be getting a credit guarantee. For them the credit guarantee scheme has been continued. What is credit guarantee scheme? Basically guys, when we talk about MSMEs, they need credit, they need money, loan from the bank. Often they are not able to pay for collateral. So without collateral, okay, they can take the loan, and on that credit, if they will not be able to pay, then there will be the credit guarantee. Okay, governments, from the government's corpus, that money will be paid. So that is about it. Okay, uh, and after that we have sports page. Okay, and all such kind of a things. Here a well crafted budget with the right mix of capex and fiscal prudence. So we have seen that yesterday's budget capital expenditure has been increased. Around 10 lakh crore rupees will be spent as a capital expenditure. So now these commentaries, some people will justify a good budget, some people will criticize bad budget, but understand this thing, you are not required to read every article or every commentary on the budget. Why? Because at the end of the day, question will not come that okay, write a short note on the budget. Such things are not asked in UPSC exam. Okay, so this is guys the overview of the newspaper, and now let's discuss all the relevant articles that are important for the examination one by one in detail. Okay, now starting up. So guys, in every class we start with a GS quote, a GS quotation that can be used to complement your answers in your mains examination GS 1, 2, 3 and 4. So today we'll take the quotation from Abhijit Banerjee. Okay, Abhijit Banerjee has been a Nobel Prize winner. So Abhijit Banerjee says, poverty is not just a lack of money. It is not having the capability to realize one's full potential as a human being. So poverty is not just an economic deprivation that you don't have money, you can't afford the basic needs of life. Rather, it is a refusal to realize one's capability. Okay, if you can't realize your capability, you can never be able to reap your full potential. And if you can't reap your potential, if you can't reap your capabilities, often what will happen, you will not be able to live to the fullest. It will lead to injustices, it will lead to discriminations, it will lead to eventually human welfare, human development will be negated. So poverty has to be dealt, not because it is an economic issue, but because it is rooted with justice, it is rooted with human welfare and all such things. So this is guys all about the quotation for the today. And now let's take first article. Okay, so we'll take the article. Fine, this is the first article that we are going to take. First of all, let's read the heading, then we'll understand the utility of this article, and then we'll go in this article per se. So the article reads, sites database reveals red sanders are being smuggled. Red sanders smuggling. Now first of all, this particular article guys, we are going to see with respect to prelims examination. This article we are going to see with respect to the prelims examination, because such kind of questions have been asked. Here we are going to read about traffic, we will read about the red sanders sites. Okay, so important for prelims examination, and then it is also important for GS paper number 3, environmental conservation. Okay, so let's read this article now. So first of all, before going in this particular article, I would like to tell you some of the basic information first, and then we'll see that what this article is talking about actually. Now, first of all, guys, I would like to tell you about some of the basic concepts. Number one is this sites. Number one is the sites. So what is the sites? Sites stand for Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wildlife, Fauna and Flora. So basically, there are many of the wild species which are being traded, which are being imported and exported between the countries. They are being imported and exported for consumption. Many animal species meat is consumed in some countries, so therefore their import and export is going on. Now understand this thing, because of their import and export, their survival in the wild is getting threatened. So sites simply provide this thing, that you should not trade in those species whose survival is under threat, or you should not do the trade in such a way that by your trade they will get extincted. So it aims to minimize their trade, it aims to regulate its trade. Now India has also been the party of the sites. Even guys, we are amending our Wildlife Protection Act 1972 to make it compliant with the sites. So this is the sites. Now CITES report has talked about the red senders, that they are being smuggled. Now, what are the red senders? A question has already come here. Now, when we talk about senders, sign you, it is a tree species which is native to India. You might have seen the Pushpa movie. So, in Pushpa movie, that red senders. Okay. Now, red sender is a tree species, and the scientific name of red sender is Petrocarpus sanatilinus. Now, this species, fine, its wood has a distinct red color, and because of that distinct red color, this wood is very much valuable, and the wood is used for making furniture, musical instruments. This wood is also used in the traditional medicines. Okay, and there is a high demand of this particular wood. Now, when we talk about the red senders tree, guys, they are found in a very limited geographical zone. For example, red sender in India are mainly found into the Sheshachalam, Veliganda, and Palkonda ranges of the Eastern Ghats. Eastern Ghats. And when we talk about the states, they lie majorly in the Andhra Pradesh. And apart from Andhra Pradesh, in limited capacity, it is found in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and Odisha. But largely it's found in Andhra Pradesh, particularly Sheshachalam forest, Sheshachalam, Veliganda, and Palkonda ranges of Eastern Ghats. Now, this is the region where this tree is found. The point is that the extent of the area where these trees found is not much, so demand supply is always mismatched. Okay, and as demand is very much supply is very much limited, demand is very much high for all these things, these trees are very expensive, their wood is very expensive. Now when we talk about, guys, India, so in India, Indian government has basically red centers have been banned. Red centers cultivation have been banned in India, but still illegal smugglers, okay, what they are doing, they are chopping these trees and are exporting these trees. Now they are also regulated. Now when we talk about the red centers, it is listed in the schedule number 4 of the Wildlife Protection Act. Now, schedule number 4 carries the list of those plants, fine, who are plants or the trees who have been given the protection. So it's listed in the schedule 4 of the Wildlife Protection Act. Okay, and even the IUCN Red List, fine, International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN Red List has put the red senders in the endangered list. So therefore they are to be protected. Now these trees are very slow growing, they attain a maturity at after 25 to 40 years. So therefore if these trees are being cut down, okay, their regeneration will happen very slowly. So it's very important to protect these trees. Okay, so this is about the red senders. Now first we have discussed about sites, then we have discussed about red senders, and now one more organization I want to discuss about with you, that is the traffic. Now already a question has been asked on traffic in your prelims examination. Now what is the traffic, guys? Traffic, it is the world's largest wildlife trade monitoring network. It is an NGO which publishes its report, which shares the data information with respect to the trade in wildlife species, in plants, etc. Okay, so it is a leading non-governmental organization. Now it aims for the sustainable conservation of nature, and it was established in 1976 as a joint initiative between WWF, fine, World Wildlife Fund, WWF World Wildlife Fund, as well as under the IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature. Now actually what has happened, now when we talk about, guys, actually what has happened in this particular issue, so basically CITES has published a report. And for this particular report, CITES has used the data given by traffic. And in this particular reports, sites have provided this particular thing, that the red senders, which is a highly regulated, just a minute. So they have said this particular thing, that red senders, which is a highly regulated type of tree species and whose export, okay, or exploitation has been banned, still they are being exported. Now, what are the countries where this red sender is being exported? So as per this particular report, this report, the site says this thing, that there have been 28 incidents. Now this number is not important. 28 incidents where red senders have been confiscated, it has been seized. Okay, they were being exported. Where they are being exported? Majority of these shipments go to China, approximately 53.5%. Then it goes to Hong Kong. After that, Singapore, and then even to the US. These red senders are being exported. Now, if this is happening, how to ensure that such kind of illegal trade, how it can be stopped, how it can be reduced? So here, traffic particularly has given certain recommendations, and I have written these recommendations here as well. So according to the traffic, two things are needed to be done on immediate basis. Number one, we need to ensure that enforcement agencies, they need to be strengthened up, and particularly they have said that forest department in this region, then the customs department, railways, because often they are being exported through the railway network, so railway police, then DRI. Now DRI stands for Directorate of Revenue Intelligence, Coast Guard. All of them should coordinate with each other, they should share information with each other, and by the coordination of these things, we can ensure that the red senders trafficking can be reduced. Then secondly, the article is also talking about that the forest or the regions where the red senders are growing, these regions are to be declared as the high conservation areas. So this is something that has been talked about in this particular article. So guys, I hope that you have understood it. Now moving on. So now taking on now this article, no bar on contesting 2 seats in 1 poll. So this particular matter, guys, we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 2, issues related to elections. Okay. Now, before going in this particular article, let's take some of the background first. Now, when we talk about, guys, a democracy, in order to be vibrant, in order to be functional, has to ensure free, fair and transparent election. Now, when we talk about, guys, the process of elections in India, we have Election Commission of India, which has stipulated certain norms. Election Commission of India, which has been given the power to superintendents, the power to regulate elections in India. But apart from that also, Parliament has a power that if it wants, it can come out with the law which will regulate the conduct of elections on the ground. Now, for that particular thing, Parliament has actually framed 2 laws. One is Representation of People's Act 1950, and other is Representation of People Act 1951. So the Constitution of India has certain bare minimum rules with respect to the election. It talks about Election Commission of India, the role of the Election Commission of India, such kind of things. But detailed provisions with respect to the elections, they are mentioned in Representation of People Act 1950 and 1951. Now, as we talk about this particular act, within this particular, now one more thing, guys, I want to tell you that UPSC GS paper number 2 syllabus clearly mentioned the brief provisions of RPA. So many such provisions of RPA has been in news over the past few months. If you remember, we have discussed them also. Now, there is one particular provision of Representation of People Act which has been challenged in the Supreme Court. What is that provision? This provision is Section 33 subclause 7 of the Representation of People Act. Now, what is this Section 33 subclause 7? So basically, guys, if you know, today the candidates, they can contest election from the multiple constituencies. Okay, we have seen many such kind of leaders. Okay, so when we talk about, guys, Section 377, this particular provision allows a person to contest a general election or a by-election or biennial election from two constituencies, For example, you can contest election from Vadodara and Varanasi at the same time. Vadodara and Varanasi at the same time, and even our Prime Minister have contested the election from the two constituencies earlier. Okay, so it has been provided by the petitioners that this provision should be removed from the Representation of People Act. It has been said that as we follow the principle of one person, one vote, one candidate, one constituency. Now, as there is one person, one vote, on that line, one candidate, one constituency should be the norm. You should not allow the candidates from contesting election from the multiple constituency, because it leads to a lot of problem. For example, the people are contesting election from multiple constituencies just as an insurance, in case if they lost from one and if they are chosen from the other. Okay, so as an insurance, they are doing this thing. Many number of times there are some many popular candidates who win from both the constituency. They win from both the constituency. Now, at the same time, we know this thing that a member cannot hold two constituencies. Though you can fight election, but you cannot hold two constituency. If you have win, you have then to let go of the one constituency and you have to keep another. Okay, let's take this particular example. Mr. X fought election from two constituency, constituency A and constituency B, and he is victorious in both A and B. Now he had to let go of one constituency. Let's say he let go of the B constituency. Now guys, here again elections are to be conducted. And it will lead to a lot of wastage of resources. Okay, lot of manpower is to be deployed here. So it is unnecessary wastage. So therefore it was asked by the Supreme Court that we should repeal this section 33 subclause 7. Now here, what Supreme Court had said? Supreme Court had said that this thing is to be done by the Parliament. Now it is on the Parliament. Fine. They have left this issue to the wisdom of Parliament. That if Parliament want, Parliament can bring an amendment in the Representation of People Act, and through that amendment, if they want, they can remove that. We are not going to do that thing. Will not remove it. Why? Because guys, understand this particular thing. You might have heard about the word judicial activism. Now, what do we understand by judicial activism? So it is the tendency of judiciary, when judiciary often tries to interfere in the domain of legislature and in the domain of executive. Now, often this judicial activism increases to a particular extent and it becomes judicial overreach. So often Indian judiciary has been criticized of the judicial overreach. Now judiciary had said that we are not going to do anything. Parliament will take, because it is a legislative matter. So as of now, section 33 subclause 7 prevails and people are free to contest elections from the two constituencies, multiple constituencies. Okay. Now moving on guys in this particular direction. Okay, there is this provision in RP 1950 or 51. Okay, now moving on guys in this particular direction. Okay, so taking the next article, cut in MGNREGA outlay is not a concern, Somnathan. Now we'll see this particular article guys with respect to the GS paper number 2, social justice, as well as in GS paper number 2, critical evaluation of government schemes, etc. has been mentioned. Now, before going in this particular article, I would like to tell you some of the basic background information first, and after understanding that basic information, then we'll go in this particular article as what this article is talking about. Now, here in this box, I had provided you the basic information about MGNREGA program. If you want, you can note it down, okay, or just directly download this PDF. So guys, when we talk about MGNREGA, it has been recognized as one of the world's biggest, it has been world's largest public work program. So under MGNREGA, government ensures, now MGNREGA, it is a flagship program, fine, which was launched in 2016, and it provides a legal guarantee for 100 days of wage employment in a financial year to every rural household. Understand this thing. MGNREGA scheme is not meant for only BPL people or not meant only for a specific type of people. Every rural household will be entitled to minimum 100 days of paid work. Paid work. Okay. Now, basically the objective of MGNREGA is basically to enhance the livelihood security of the people, and at the same time these people will be used in development of some durable community assets. So on one hand community asset will be prepared, on another hand the people will be given the work to build those community assets, they will get a livelihood. Okay, so this is an MGNREGA program that we got started. Now, when we talk about MGNREGA, minimum 100 days of paid employment is to be provided, but if the state wants, they can provide additional employment also. For example, Odisha, it has been seen, we have seen this particular thing that the Odisha has provided 150 days, 150 days up till, okay. Uh, in 2006, not 2016, sir. Yes, it's 2006 only. It's 2006 only, written here. Okay, okay, maybe a slip of a tongue I would have said 2016, not worry, but it's written here 2006. Okay, now moving on. So guys, we have seen that just day before yesterday, that is on the 1st of the Feb, government announced the budget, and in budget basically the funding that was given for the MGNREGA, it has been brought down. Funding for the MGNREGA has been brought down, it has been slashed. Because of that particular thing, many of the people have criticized the government that MGNREGA happens to be such an important scheme for reducing the rural distress. Many people were able to get employment under MGNREGA when they returned back to their homes after the pandemic. It is a lifeline of the rural India. So why you have reduced the funding of MGNREGA? It is being criticized. It is being criticized. Okay, now in this particular capacity, guys, first of all let me tell you that what has happened. So basically, as we talk about the allocation for MGNREGA in the just presented budget, that is 23-24, government has provided this thing that right now economy is in a better shape. Now see this particular thing, why we need MGNREGA. MGNREGA is the scheme for the last resort. When you are not able to get employment anywhere, then people come under MGNREGA. Now government had said that actually economy is in a better shape and people will able to find the better paid employments at other places. So therefore they don't need MGNREGA that much. Now first of all, if I tell you, now here we see this thing that around 60,000 crore rupees have been allocated for MGNREGA in this present budget 23-24. Now this particular is 18% lower. It is 18% lower below the current year. Now current year is the present year which is going on. It will go till 31st of the March. So it is 33%, 18% less than the budgetary estimates and 33% lower than the revised estimate. Now understand this particular thing, guys, that more money, additional money was given to the MGNREGA few months back. So when we see about the total additional budget that was also given in MGNREGA, so compared with that, 33% less allocations have been given. Now government had justified that economy is in a better shape, so therefore people will not need MGNREGA, so therefore this funding is justified. Secondly, government has also provided this thing that the MGNREGA is a demand driven scheme, So as more demand will be there, if actually let's say 60,000 crore rupees fall short, we will provide the additional funding. Okay, so that's not a concern as justified by the government. Okay, so that is all, guys, about this particular article. Beyond that, nothing is there in this particular article. Government is just justifying this particular allegation that we will give more money or people will not need money. But anyhow, guys, as we talk about right now, we have seen yesterday also that GDP growth rate will actually slow down. Present year, GDP growth rate is estimated to be at 7%, but coming year, GDP growth rate is estimated to between 6 to 6.8% between that. So obviously it is a slowdown. So we need to be better prepared for such kind of a things. Now moving on, guys, in this particular direction, coming to the next article. Now this article, it reads, trading more within Asia makes economic sense. Now this particular article we'll see with respect to GS paper number 2, GS paper number 2, GS paper number 2, international relation, okay, geoeconomics, okay. Now let's discuss this particular article. Okay, now what this particular article is talking about, guys, So this article is talking about that the South Asia includes countries such as India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Pakistan. So South Asia needs to increase their trade with the East Asia. And when we talk about the East Asia, countries such as Japan, South Korea, etc., fine, they will come, China, etc., they will come. So it has been provided that the South Asia needs to interact or needs to increase its trade more with the East Asia, Philippines, etc. Fine. Now that has been provided. Now why we need to increase our trade with the East Asia? Now, first of all, guys, if we see the world prospects in this particular direction, you need to understand them, very important. So recently, IMF, International Monetary Fund, has presented its report, and in this report, they have provided that the global trade would slow down. It will come down. So global trade was around 5.4% in 2022, and in this year it will reduce to 2.4%. It will be less than the half. Why? Because it has been provided that there is a lot of basically there is a global slump that is going on. Why? Because Russia-Ukraine war is still continuing. So there is a Russia-Ukraine war that is continuing. There is a decoupling. What is a decoupling? Decoupling is a deliberate attempt where the European countries, USA, particularly the West, it is trying to decouple from China. They don't want to depend too much on China. So as at this decoupling, now see this thing, as we talk about the world trade, China has been the major exporter. So now the Western world is trying to distance from China. Because of that decoupling also, the world trade will go down. Supply chains have been disrupted continuously because of the new version of the COVID-19 that has come. So because of that particular thing, international trade will be impacted even in 23. Okay. Now, moving on in this particular direction. So basically, here it has been provided that as global trade is going down, what needs to be the alternative arrangement? So as of one alternative arrangement, it has been written in the book South Asia's Path to Resilient Growth. It has been provided that South Asia needs to trade more with the East Asia, Now, as we talk about the South Asia's trade with the East Asia, since the 1990s, we found this particular thing that the South Asia East Asia trade, it has gathered peace, it has increased, particularly India's trade with the East Asia is increasing. Why it has happened? Largely because of the distinct change in the policy that we have brought, that is the Look East and Act East policy. Now in 1990s, India moved towards the Look East policy, and after coming off the Prime Minister Mr. Modi, we have changed that to Act East policy, where special attention, more attention is being given to the East. So therefore, we now need to deliberately, we need to focus more on this Act East. Now, what should be done? What should be done so that trade relation between South Asia and East Asia can be increased? Number one, guys, it has been provided that we should focus, there should be the focus on the regional trade integration. Regional trade integration is to be done. Basically, whenever the two countries trade between them, there are some barriers that are there in between. These barriers can be divided in two parts: trade barrier, tariff barrier, non-tariff barrier. Tariff barrier are the high custom duties, high taxes that are being imposed. Non-tariff barriers are other technical barriers apart from the tariffs that are being imposed. So it has been provided that the South Asia and East Asia, they need to go for the trade simplification. Trade facilitation is to be carried. Barriers are to be reduced, both tariff as well as non-tariff barriers. Moreover, South Asia's trade should open up. Tax reforms, fine, should be carried. Tax reforms should be carried. High import duties, export taxes, etc., whatever they are there, they are to be reduced. Okay. Then next thing, it has been provided that we should also need to focus on special economic zones. We should also need to focus on special economic zones. Now, special economic zones are the special enclaves that have been developed particularly in India and other countries also. Now, these regions specializes in export. These regions specializes in export. So there are multiple special economic zones that are there in the South Asia. For example, there are 600 SCs that are operation in South Asia. For example, Kochi, we have SCZ. Apart from that, we have other many SCZ apart from that also. Then the Godar in Pakistan is a special economic zone. Okay, Mir Sarai in Bangladesh, Hambantota in Sri Lanka. So all these are the special economic zones. But a point is that these special economic zones have not been able to scale up on export till now. So these special economic zones, they need to be focused more so that how they can become the exporting hubs which they were meant to be. Okay, so we need to improve the SCZ processes, outcomes of this SCZ, we need to make them more stable. The next issue that has been provided is that we also need to pursue free trade agreement. We need to pursue the free trade agreement. Now, free trade agreement is an economic agreement that is signed between the two countries, after which the two countries will reduce their tariffs, will not be putting any discriminatory treatment on imports. So this is the free trade agreement. So in order to enhance the trade, we need to sign more and more free trade agreement with the South Asia needs to sign more free trade agreement with the East Asia. Now, there is one example that has been given, that is the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. Now, RCEP was massive free trade agreement that was signed in 2020, and this free trade agreement included China, Indonesia, Japan, South Korea. India was also included, but then India said that we will not join it, So point is that these such big FTAs should be joined. India should not hesitate in joining them. If India will join it, what will happen? If India will join it, this RCPs, rest of the South Asia countries, fine, they will also be incentivized to join it. And by signing FTAs, fine, Japan India FTA, Sri Lanka Singapore FTA, Pakistan Indonesia FTA, these free trade agreements that has been signed by the South Asian countries with the East Asian countries, they have shown credible good results. So we need to sign more and more FTAs. Region as a whole needs to sign an FTA. That is something that have been provided. Next, that is being provided here is that basically, guys, it is now understand this thing, that when we talk about the SARC, okay, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, okay, SARC. Now SARC as an organization is nearly dead. Why? Because post 2014 SARC's summits are not being held, largely because of the disputes that are going on between Pakistan and India. So it has been said to enhance the regional cooperation. SARC is now dead. So what we can do? We can use BIMSTEC. BIMSTEC can be focused. Now, first of all, let's understand that what are the countries which are there in the BIMSTEC. So basically, BIMSTEC stands for Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation. Okay, and here we see this particular thing, that in BIMSTEC, all these countries will be included. That is Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, India, Nepal, Bhutan, Thailand, and Myanmar. Okay, so as SARC is not able to make way, so therefore the BIMSTEC can be utilized, can be used. Okay, so this is something that has been provided here. Now, so basically this is something that has been provided here, that we need to focus on BIMSTEC. We need to focus on BIMSTEC now. Okay, submit. We need to focus on BIMSTEC now. Okay, so we need to reinvent the trade focused BIMSTEC so that it can facilitate the trade collaborations and relations between the partners. Okay, so we need to reinvent BIMSTEC, better resourcing. We need to have a secretariat. Okay, long-term BIMSTEC FTA, fine, cooperation in the members needs to be there. So guys, all these are the things that have been specifically focused, and this is an article which prescribes that how South Asia and East Asia trade needs to be increased and what are the key deliverables that should be focused upon here. So that is all, guys, about this particular article, and it has been said that broad South Asia East Asia trade will be desirable, okay. Then there might also be possibility that increasingly complex geopolitical situations might rule this out for some times. Now you see this thing, that South Asia, it has a lot of divisions, particularly India and Pakistan. So in the short term, it might not make much of a sense, but in longer term, that only has to be taken up. Okay, so that is all about this particular article. And now moving to next article. Okay. Now the article reads: should the government put out a white paper on Ladakh? Should the government put out a white paper on Ladakh? Okay. Now, what this particular article, guys, is talking about. So basically, first of all, we see this thing that recently there is a white paper, okay, or there is a kind of uh, a document that was placed by a that was prepared for a security conference in Delhi. Now, this particular white paper has specifically provided this thing that India has lost access to 26 out of the 65 patrolling points along with the line of actual control. Now, guys, here you can see this thing that we have the line of actual control. Now, on this line of actual control, there are the post or there are the patrolling positions that are there, patrolling points that are there. Now, Indian Army used to basically the Indian forces used to patrol these posts. Okay, but over the last few months, because we had not patrolled few of the posts, so actually what has happened, 26 of the posts, 26 of the patrolling points out of the 65, we have lost access to it. Now China follows a distinct policy. I have discussed it with you also few days back, that is a salami slicing. salami slicing salami slicing. So in the salami slicing, I have told you this thing that what China does, China inch by inch tries to claim the land of India. And therefore, whenever China finds that certain posts are not being patrolled, okay, what China does, China claims that, and China says that we are sitting here since 50 years. Okay, this region had belonged to us. We have always been here. So through their salami slicing technique, China is claiming the land bit by bit around the LAC, and a defense paper, a security paper even highlighted this particular thing. Now, it has been provided that the external affair minister had specifically provided this particular thing, that no territory has been taken by China. But opposition say that no, government needs to give a more clarity on this particular thing. Now, this particular article, what this particular article is talking about, just a minute. So this particular article is talking about that now it is time. Now it is time that government should put out a white paper on Ladakh. They should explain that what is the security situation. They should explain that what is the doctrine, military doctrine with respect to this region. Now see this thing. The article says that we don't have any national security strategy. We don't have any national security strategy. And up till now, though we didn't had a national security strategy, okay, a document, what is a national security strategy? It is a document which organizes or which highlights that if in the case of India's internal, if there is a kind of a security challenge, how we are going to deal with, what response we are going to give. There is a kind of a standard operating procedure that is written. So we don't have a national security strategy, and it has been said that particularly LAC is a distinct territory compared with the LOC. There are multiple agencies that are there on LAC. For example, uh, ITBP, okay, Indo-Tibetan Border Police is there, ITBP. It is managing the security on LAC. Now, ITBP come under the Home Ministry. Then Army is also now patrolling the region, which comes under the Ministry of Defense. Then there are the special forces are also there, which are deployed at LAC. Now they come under Cabinet Secretariat. Okay, so point is that so many agencies are manning the LAC, and as these agencies are under the different organizations, what we need to ensure, we need to ensure this particular thing, that we put out a white paper here very clearly, and the relations between these organizations, the responsibilities of these organizations, long term strategy for this particular region should be listed out there. It is a listed out there. Now this system we have seen had worked for so many decades, but now there might be some issue that come here. Okay, now in this particular capacity, guys, further moving on, so it has been said that more than a white paper, we need to re-strategize the border policy. We need to re-strategize the border policy here. Okay, so this is something that has been provided, but border patrols needs to be increased, find new strategy needs to be put out. This is all about what this article is talking about. Now moving to next article. Now, a short for science, a short for science. Now, this particular article, guys, with respect to, we'll see this article with respect to the GS paper number 3, innovation plus policies for science and technologies, policy for science and technology. Okay, now here guys, we are going to analyze the budget proposals that have been given. So you see this thing that just 2 days back we have seen that the budget was laid down in the parliament. Now here it is being said that Ministry of Science and Technology has received a 15% increase from the previous estimate. So previous budgetary estimate, 15% more funding has been given to Ministry of Science and Technology. Now it has been said that it looks good that now we are focusing on science and technology, and one can assume that it will improve the research and development in India. But this article is saying that though funding has been increased by 15%, but a major chunk of funding is going to some specific projects only. For example, Deep Ocean Mission. Now Deep Ocean Mission, it is a specific program where government wants to develop the deep submersible vehicles, submarines, etc. we want to develop. So a large chunk of money is going for the Deep Ocean Mission. Then guys, artificial intelligence, we want to develop the capability for artificial intelligence, so money will go for artificial intelligence. Then lab made diamonds, if you remember yesterday budget we have discussed it also, lab made diamond, artificial intelligence. So major chunk of money are going on these projects. So point is that actually the money that is going for basic research, the money that has been given for basic research, it has not been very much impressive. Okay, now first of all guys, it has been provided that any developed country, okay, or a country which needs to be the knowledge superpower, they have to spend more on the basic research and development. And we find this particular thing that countries, they are fine, developed countries, they are typically spending 2% of their GDP on research and development. Now India also wants to scale up their expenditure on research and development at least to 2 to 2.5%. But if we see how much we are actually giving on research and development, so as per the Global Innovation Index, India spends around 0.7% of its GDP on research and development, which is very much less. See, we are world's largest producer of scientific literatures, theses, documents, but still we don't spend too much on research and development. Now, this is problem number one. But apart from that, the article mentions that even if we give more funding, institutions don't have capacity to absorb that increased funding. Okay, so the point is that institutions, they don't have absorptive capacity. Even if we give them money, they don't know how to use that money, they don't have institutional capacity to use that money. So it has been provided that we need to work on two things. Number one, we need to enhance the funding, and at the same time absorptive capacity of the institution so that they can use the money, it also needs to be increased. Because funding is not there for research and development, what we find this particular thing, that the scholars, they are often not getting the promised funds, they are not getting the quality equipments that they need for their funding. So this is one issue that has come in this particular direction. So therefore this is, we need to increase the funding, and at the same time we also need to encourage the private sector. That private sector should also come and should spend the money in research and development, because in developed countries the private sector gives a lot of contribution in research and development, but that's not happening in the case of India. So this is something that's there. Now moving to next article. Government can seek rethink on Collegium recommendations. Now just guys, I have added this article, but no need to go too much in detail in this particular article. So basically we have seen that from past few days, not days, even around month, there is confrontation going on between judiciary and executive. Now a judiciary, particularly Supreme Court, says this thing that we have sent recommendations to the government with respect to the appointment at Supreme Court and High Court, but law ministry, but particularly the government is not clearing those recommendations. Okay, why they are not doing it? Because they deliberately want to cause a delay, according to judiciary. Now executive says this thing that Supreme Court's recommendations, okay, there are some flaws in that. Okay, so these issues are going on, and even executive had said that we need to reform the entire collegium system for appointment. Fine. Now here they have sent the recommendations, but it has been said that some of the considerations of the name, fine, they basically they will be reconsidered. Okay, now the names have been sent back and it has been asked Supreme Court that you should reconsider those names, whether you need to give them for appointment or not. So that is something that has come, but no need to go too much and follow this article, not important, because the number of judges, name, recommended, chosen, selected, approved, all this will change. Fine. And then guys, we have the mains practice question for today. Mains practice question for today. So question reads, India is laying emphasis on BIMSTEC to foster South Asia and Southeast Asia cooperation. Discuss how is there need to reinvent BIMSTEC. Now this particular question will be for GS paper number 2, 10 marks. Okay. Please try to write it, and you can upload this particular answer on our peer reviewed platform, where aspirants, they also write answers, they upload their answers, and you can get a review from the fellow aspirants. If you want to upload it, you can just go on our main channel, Thinking Pallid by Sahil, and there on top you will find a pinned comment. In pinned comment there is a link for that channel. You can access that. So that is all guys about this particular article, this particular session for the today. I hope that you have understood it and liked it. Thank you so much guys. If you have liked, please do hit the like button. Please do leave your comment.